I first saw you pop up in your online beef with a Decca Heggie.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
That's where I saw you pop up, and then since then I've seen you just go up and up and up and up.
Yeah. So this other lad from this town was making these mental health videos, and he was parading like disabled kids and that about who I knew. You know, look at me helping this person. You know, and I just seen all the badness in it, I seen all the wrongness in it, I seen it for what it was. And I was at a barbecue one day, I hadn't mentioned what I'd seen, I hadn't piped up about it. I was at a barbecue one day, and this disabled lad, well, I was at the barbecue with his mum and dad, and his mum and dad said, we got talking about this video. You know, I said, I seen your son in this video the other day. And she was like, yeah, you know, could you believe he took him off us for 2 hours saying he was going to help us and help him and stuff. And when he dropped him back off, he tried to bill us for his time. You know, wanted something like 60 quid for the 2 hours. What he'd had, this lad. And that was it. I thought, right.
That's the start of your beef.
I didn't have a phone or anything. I didn't have social media. I didn't have a phone. I didn't have a Facebook. I didn't have nothing. I had graft phones all the time. So I went home, I rang a mate and said, you got on a smartphone? I said, come round here. So I want to start something here. So he come round, held the camera up, and I just went off on one. I was just like, you, I know what you're up to, mate. You know what I mean?
And what did that your mate put that video online?
Yeah.
I guess that went viral.
Kind of blew up, yeah.
Around the town especially.
Yeah.
You're both
it blew up.
faces in the town.
Blew up, and then that's how it started. It went back and forward. He'd make one, he was going to do this to me. You know, the lad didn't scare me one bit, you know, and so I was making them back. In the end, I was trying to arrange this fight between me and him, a gloved fight, which I got organised. I got a date on a show over Newcastle at the NE6 suite in Walker. Got this show, you know, me and him were going to fight on a show. I just wanted my hands on him, really. During this time, I was finding out things that he'd done, you know, and speaking to people who he'd done things to. And I started mentioning that as well. You know, and obviously that wasn't too good for the image he was trying to sell. And all of a sudden the replies stopped coming. You know, the replies stopped coming, so kind of upped the ante me and started going in more and started trying to... I wanted to make him want to fight me, you know, because of the stuff I was saying and putting out there what I knew about him. Then...
What does he say about all these allegations? Does he deny all these allegations?
Yeah.
He denies them.
Yeah. I think he sort of wavered in and out of brushing on them and touching on them, and you know, and then he might know nothing and that. But you know, since then I've just I don't think about that stuff anymore, and I'm not trying to convince you, or I'm not trying to convince anybody of what I know or what I've been told. You know, I know what I know.
But when you say you don't think about it, is that because of the negativity it brings?
Because it cost me my liberty, mate.
Explain that. Let's get to that, because you ended up in prison, right?
Well, going back and forth with the videos, he stopped replying. I upped the ante. I was going in. You know, I was making these videos of a proper violent nature. I was like off my nut as well. You know, bouncing around my kitchen, ripping my top off. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Just give me a location. And the replies stopped coming. Then the police come to the door. You know, there'd been multiple statements put in, and I was arrested for harassment and malicious communications.
He'd gone to the police?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, even though I was arrested and I was going down the station, I was like laughing, thinking this is brilliant for my videos. Okay. You know what I mean? We've got a grass here. You know, and so they let me out. I took to the camera again immediately. You know, I said, we've got a midnight mass here in the mist, and guess what's just happened? I've just been locked up for calling names. And that was a breach of my bail, wasn't it? And that was witness intimidation then. So my feet never touched the floor.
So then you're remanded?
So I got remanded in Durham, yeah.
For a video?
For making videos, yeah, for calling names. And I was told while this was going on, when I come back, I was locked up for the first about 12 weeks.
On remand?
On remand. And The
Was this your first time in jail?
yeah,
This your first time in jail?
first time in jail at that
Jesus,
point.
you've had this chaotic life,
Got away with so much.
got away with everything,
Yeah.
and then you've gone to video for name calling.
Yeah.
You've gone to jail for name calling on videos.
Yeah.
That's what got you behind bars.
Yeah, I mean,
Mad.
it was what it was, and I was told, you know, by me barrister that all I had to do was make a counter allegation, and it would have went away.
Because he was making videos of a similar nature about you, saying things about you.
That was it. You know, but because I refused to do so, and
why did you refuse to do so?
mate, I ain't putting a statement in against another man for calling me names, you know.
Okay.
And that's how it is, you know. But there was times in prison when I wished I had, when the sentence came down. You know, there was times when I wished I'd done it. But I mean, it was what it was, and I've got no regrets now.
And what was the set? So you done 12 weeks on remand.
12 weeks on remand. My granddad was dying, so I got out. I got this compassionate bail with immediate release because of the position I'd had, because I've had the position he'd been and the influence he'd had to me, and with me calling him dad for so long. They let me out to go and see him. So they let me out. I got picked up by the ex-wife. Embracing the kids when you get out of prison is something else, you know.
It's almost worth going, isn't it?
Almost, mate. You know, it was unbelievable. It's like I've had that a few times in my life. You know, when you get in, you're in that hole, you swim through that river of shit for so long. When you get to the end of it, it's like it's nearly worth it. You know what I mean? It's almost worth it.
I know the feeling, bro.
Yeah, I bet you do. You know, and so I went out first. Job number one, obviously, going to see my granddad. That's the reason I was out. Went straight to Carlisle. I went and seen him. Walked into his house and his bed was downstairs, and he'd lost a lot of weight, you know, and he'd been given a week to live. I went in and I held his hands, and his eyes were stuck together with like sleep, if you like. He couldn't open his eyes, and I said, "Grandad," and he heard my voice. He was like, "Is that Danny?" He put his hand out, and I held his hand, and you know, he said some of the nicest things that he's ever said to me, you know, and I'll never ever forget that day. And I promised him, you know, I was going to get better. And I promised him I was going to be the best person that I could be. You know, because I hadn't been. He thought I was away working. You know, we couldn't even tell him that I was in prison because it'd have killed him. You know, I mean, it was just that, I was just that much of his like blue-eyed boy, if you like. Yeah. So I held his hand, and my mum and that was saying he has yogurts in the morning. So I was sat there for about the best part of 2 hours. It was difficult seeing him like that, but I says, I'm going to come back in the morning and I'm going to give you your yogurt. And I went home and he was dead within the hour. And ultimately, you know, I have so much gratitude for that moment, for being able to get that opportunity, you know, to hold his hand in his dying hour, for him to say some of the things that he said to us was powerful, man.
What did he say if you don't mind me asking?
Well, me and my mum had a big fallout.
Yep.
And you know, he told me he forgave me for that. You know, and
he was your mum's dad?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, and he told me that...
You had a serious fallout?
Yeah. I mean, he stopped talking to me.
Okay.
You know, which was my own fault.
Yeah.
But he said that me and my mum, you know, are the closest two people to him ever. And he says, and I need you two to get on before I move on, was his words. You know, before I move on. I need you two to get on. You know, and he said, anything that you want, Danny, you can have. You know, he said, and I've seen it in you since you were a young lad. You know what I mean? He says, you can have anything you want. He says, and you've always chose to have nothing. And he says, why don't you choose to have everything? And you can have it, you know. And I was fighting back the tears, just speaking to him, and I had to stay strong, you know. I was actually crying, tears around my eyes, but I was trying not to let him know I was crying because he couldn't see me. And yeah, and I said I was going to come back in the morning and give him his yogurt, and he was dead within the hour. So then, the hatred for this situation
got worse.
Just blew up. It was like petrol, fire.
Because okay. Your granddad's just died.
Yeah.
That's your second father figure you've lost.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, the problem wasn't court. The problem wasn't my granddad. You know, the problem was fucking me. I was the problem. I was blind to that at that time. I thought, right, this is to blame. This person, this situation. You know, this
is
is
that
all,
you blamed him for being why you've been away from your granddad for the last 3 months
yeah,
before he's died.
You know, and listen, at that point I hadn't accepted my part in it. You know, that came later. That came when I got sentenced. At that point it was just, you know, I'm dealing with a grass here and this is his fault. You know, that's how I seen it, wrongly. Yeah. That's how I wrongly seen it, but that's how it was at that time. I was back at court. I got sentenced for witness intimidation without violence. It was like the lowest one. Harassment and malicious communications. And I got 18 months. And
it's a big sentence.
With my remand knocked off, I think I've done about 7, something like that. And I went back to Durham. And I was waiting on my Cat D because I immediately qualified for Cat D because of the category of my offence.
Yep, online, nothing.
And I think I was 3-4 days into remand on Durham, sentencing. But I was in a remand jail and I was waiting for my allocation. I was talking to a screw about my allocation, and as I was talking to him, somebody pushed in front of me in the dinner queue. And I still had that problem. I used to love fighting in jail. You know, I love fight anyone in jail. I used to love fighting in jail. It was that release. It was that channeling all that stuff that was going on in my own head, in my own life. You know, into like a physical fight. You know, and I got a massive release from it. Yeah. You know, and the more
buzz of it.
The more fights I could get in, the better. You know, and I loved that stuff. You know, especially in prison when you know you've only got 30 seconds.
Yeah.
You know, I could do some damage in 30 seconds, and. This kid pushed in front of me anyway, and I'm not even sure I was going to do anything until I asked him. I said, you know, do I not exist to something? What are you doing? And he just looked over his shoulders like, deal with it, mug. And I don't know if 10 or 20 seconds went by, and I was just like, I don't know why. We were in the door of the canteen by this time, and I drove an elbow into his ear. I split his ear, and he went down, and I fired a couple of kicks in. Then I got took down by this screw, and I forget his name, but people who's been to Durham will know him. He's like, he does the jiu-jitsu and that, the little one with the cauliflower ears. He just tied me up like a pretzel, all on his own. And I was screaming in pain. So I took back to my pad. And this lad had a bit of a firm, northeast lad. They were all shouting at me, and I was going back to the pad. I was shouting at them. Then they opened the pad door after I'd been locked up for 20 minutes. They're like, Christie, you're going to die. You know, you're getting off this wing. You caused some chew on here. And so I went over to B wing. Well, because I was waiting for my Cat D, they come and got me 2 days later after that and took me down to Kirkham.
Which is Cat D?
Cat D, sorry, Cat D.
What's the difference? So people who haven't been to jail, so they can visualise, what's Durham like? What's it like as a prison?
Durham's, I can't glamourise it at all, because it's a shithole and it's not a nice place, but Durham's like a rowdy jail. Yeah. But the thing I liked about it, you know, we'd been in 4 different prisons. The thing I liked about Durham is, you know, it's our crack. They're all Geordie lads, they're all northwest, northeast lads. It's all Charvagaggi mush. Okay, you know, it's all the same lingo, it's all the same patter, it's all the same banter. Yeah. And for all this trouble, you know, it's quite decent. You know where you're standing there, if that makes sense. So
you locked up most of the day?
Until I got a job. I was on 23-hour bang up until I got a job on the cleaners, and then I was away on there. That was on remand the first time. I never even got a chance to get a job the second time because I wasn't there long enough. Okay. So I've gone to Kirkham, which I was allocated to go to. This is after I'd hit this kid, 2 days after I'd hit this kid. I got to Kirkham. I was talking about it with you the other day, saying that, you know, I thought when I got there, I thought I was at a christening. You know, there was like women and kids all over the place. You know, like dressed up. Yeah. You know, like, well, women and kids, they dress up for visits anyway, don't they? Women and kids, you know, and there was women and kids all dressed up, little frilly skirts on and laughing about, ha ha ha, and prisoners everywhere. And couldn't tell the prisoners from the thing, everyone's just dressed casual and that. The food in there, mate, there's like a banquet. You know, you can just get as much food as you like. I mean, I'm talking about wings. You know, I've been in
chicken wings. You're not about the left wing chicken leg.
No, not that. Not them, mate. These are wings.
every leg, every bit of chicken you get in jail is just left wing, scrawny, hairy leg.
It's mad, isn't it?
It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, there was none of that. It was like selection, big selection. So I thought, I'm Christie, this will do me, I'll get right into the gym, get hench. The next day they come and got us. They locked the induction wing down. And the lad I was locked up with, I said, oh, they've come for somebody here. And I was like, oh, sound, I was at the door. Then they all come for me. Christie, you've got a nick and come through, and that's what the charge come through for me hitting that kid in Durham. You shouldn't be here.
You shouldn't be that cat deep because you've got to wait in another charge.
That's it. So then they took me to Preston.
Oh, Bob.
So I'd done 3 jails in 3 days at this point.
But you got to see the beauty of a cat D.
Yeah, but I'd rather I didn't. It's like, here's what you could have won.
Yeah, yeah.
And he who giveth can taketh away, I suppose. And so I ended up in Preston. I had 19 nights in there, and that was the biggest changing point in my life. That in that jail, hated that jail. If anyone's been to Preston, C1, it's like a dungeon. There's no light in that. It's the induction wing, and hated it. And I was waiting to go to a Cat C, Lancaster Farms I was waiting for. And I was there 19 nights over Christmas. The portions were terrible. It was like a little tiny little tray with your food coming out, like starvation rations. It was horrible in there. And it was very much like Durham, that Victorian setup.
Oh, they're both Victorians.
Yeah, but
like Bedford.
But the difference was like the people. It was like for all it's only Preston down the road, but it's all Manx and Scousers, and
yeah.
So it's like
Northwest.
You get all that G in that. You know what I mean? Like it's not like there's no Chavagaggi mush. Like it's like
Chavagaggi mush is down by Portsmouth as well. When I went to Winchester, it's all pretty much like that as well. Because I think do you know why? I think it's predominantly white.
Right.
That's a predominantly white culture. When you get to our jails, our local jails, all the white boys are talking like they're black.
Yeah, right.
And the cultures took over.
I see. Yeah, and that was very much what down there, like a different language almost, a different vibe, different feel, and it was a violent jail as well.
Yeah.
Then a kid gets slashed in the showers on my 3rd night in there. Some Scouser slashing another Scouser. And I just heard the screaming. I didn't even want to turn around. I kind of knew what was going on already. I could see blood in the floor and the water. And I just sort of had a glance, and this kid just said, "Are you staying or are you going?" I was just like, "I'm going, mate. Now finish my shower, mate. I'm off." You know what I mean? And naughty to see someone get opened up like that. But on the 22nd, I believe it was, of December, the chaplain come and got us. I've spoke about this before. This was like the biggest changing point in my life. My auntie from Burnley had died. And I loved that woman. I loved that woman. I was so close to her. I was down there all the time. We spoke on the phone regular. I love that woman, and I miss her so much.
And I went. Relation with your father's then?
Yeah, my dad's sister.
Dad's sister. Okay, so you kept contact with your dad's sister all the
way?
Okay.
And my dad had 2 brothers, 2 sisters, and I loved them all. You know what I mean? I was always so close to them all. I love them all. My auntie Carol, I was like, perhaps that one I think I was closest to out of them all. And the chaplain, I knew it was bad when the chaplain, you know it's kind of bad. You can tell, can't you?
Yeah.
They're not coming for you to give you your phone credit or something. They're coming for you. And I was like, who is it? Who is it? Who is it? I got down there thinking the whole time, of the worst, and told me that my auntie had died, and my auntie Jackie, her sister had rang the jail up and told them, so they told me, and they left a number. So the big, huge Muslim fella, the chaplain, and he let me use the phone. He let me use the phone in there to phone my auntie. She'd left a number and let me phone, so I spoke to her. And I was all right until I was all right. I didn't start crying until I spoke to her. Once I spoke to her, she told me, and mate, I just broke down. I had a proper breakdown. I couldn't stop crying. That like rough sort of carpet tiles that you get in prison. Mm. By the time I got off the phone, I put the phone down. I sat there like this for a while, just sobbing uncontrollably, so I couldn't stop crying. And there was a pool of tears on the floor like that. By the time I'd finished, I was down there for hours. And the fella was so sound, but he was like, "You ready to go back?" I was like, "Do you need half an hour?" "Yeah, I need half an hour." So I went and I lit a few candles in there, and I was looking at the big stained glass and that, and I was like, right, I'm ready to go back. So I went back to my pad, and them little plastic tile mirrors what you get. Up until that day, you know, something about looking at myself in the mirror for a long time I didn't really like. I was doing my hair and looking in the mirror, but just to do my hair, you know what I mean? Didn't much like, there's a few times I caught my eye in the mirror and whoa, like I didn't like it. Didn't like the person I'd become, didn't like the person looking back at us. That day I went back to the pad and I sat and stared into my soul, mate, for about 5 hours. I just looked deep into myself, and that day, mate, that day was when it all changed for me. The realisation, the acceptance, the accountability and responsibility for my own actions, all that stuff changed. All the hurt I'd caused, all the people I'd wronged, it was all there. It was right at the forefront. You know, I could see it all, and I just blamed myself from then on in. It was my fault I was in prison. Yeah, we had this person that had made himself into a victim, but ultimately the blame was me. You know, I could have done 1,000,001 different things, but I chose not to. I chose to do what I'd done.
Did that come about from self-evaluation? Or the reason I ask that is because I know you're in recovery as well.
Yeah.
And we'll get onto recovery because that leads us into a very positive stage of your life, I believe. But when you're in recovery, or when you're assessing addiction issues, I know that they make you reevaluate everything and look at everything differently. For example, I grew up my whole life hating the police from when I was 19.
Yeah.
Because my first ever offence I was sent to jail for. And I've always hated the police since that. I think, you bastards, you ruined my life.
Yeah.
But then in that, they try and, because you're carrying that. So I'm carrying that hatred, I'm carrying that myself.
Yeah.
That's affecting me, not them.
Yeah.
So to try and lift that, try and clean your spirituality, then you assess everything to think, what did I do wrong? And in every single scenario, you have to look at what I done wrong.
Yeah.
So did this change in life come from that, or was it just a natural, you started evaluating yourself?
I think it was timing. You know, I think it was timing. I needed it without knowing. I probably needed it for a while without knowing. You know, I was probably searching for it for a while without recognising that that's what I needed. That day come, I told you I had this breakdown, and I just, there was the staring at myself. Told you I had discomfort doing it before, and I just locked eyes with myself, and I was just staring at myself like that. Mate, for 4 or 5 hours plus, I just looked deep into my soul. I was reflecting on my life and all the stuff I'd done. All the stuff I'd done. And I remember going to sleep that night, just laying on my bed and thinking, right, I have to change. I need to change. You know, for the first time ever, I needed to change. But you know, it wasn't easy. You know, it took a while, and I couldn't just forgive everybody straight away. You know, I don't think it works like that for anybody. So I tried to process a lot of things, and first of all I thought I need to stop using. I was using every day in jail, you know what I mean? Subbies and spice, and take anything in jail. You know?
How bad, so that people understand, how bad's the drug situation in prison? It's insane, isn't it?
It's off
especially spice.
Mate, it's off the Richter.
Especially how detox, the whole place comes out like zombies.
Yeah, mate, it's off
sick.
The Richter. You know, and obviously I couldn't get my drugs of choice in there, you know.
So what was you taking? Spice, subsets?
Spice and subbies, yeah. And
every day?
Yeah, daily, yeah.
Okay.
Daily, yeah. I think there's just that thought of, initially, the thought of going behind my door for 16 hours, you know, with nothing. I just couldn't get my head around that, you know what I mean? Something I couldn't bring myself to do. So that was job number one in my head. You know, I was like, stop using. First time I'd ever tried to stop using, by the way. You know, I never tried to stop before. I didn't have a reason to, you know, and it took me 2 years to get clean. And every day, every time I was using in prison, you know, I thought, when I woke up in the morning, I thought, that morning,
I'll try today.
I thought, well, I'll just get a little bit then, you know, get a little 5 a bit or something, and try and make that's my last bit then, do you know what I mean? See you later, bye-bye drugs, you know, and by the time you come round to getting locked up again, you know, you want that bit more. So 2, 3, sometimes 4, 5 times a day I'm still using. Every time's going to be my last time. That went on for another 6 months. You know, I got moved to Lancaster Farms, where it was easy then, you know what I mean? Because you start getting a bit more drugs in my choice, getting a couple of Valium and a bit of Solid and that. You know what I mean? So start getting a bit. So I come to getting out. I've still been using the whole time, so I was like, right, I'll tell you what I'll do, because I can get my head, you know what I mean? Because I can get Charlie and that when I get out, I'll just go on one big one. You know, and that'll be the last of it then, you know what I mean? Because me telling myself, I don't really want to finish this journey on subbies and spice. You know, I can do it.
You're self-justifying.
Yeah.
Every time.
I can do it glamorously in some hotels with a quarter, you know what I mean? So I got out. Couldn't stop. Right back into my substances of choice. You know what I mean? Couldn't stop. Hit the ground running. Taking drugs every day. Smoking weed all day, every day. Having whiff on a night, every night, most nights. And then Valium to get to sleep. And for some strange reason, I called that trio the Holy Trinity. I don't know where it came from. I don't know why I'd done it. I can't even tell you why, but that's what I called it, the Holy Trinity. Weed all day, whiff all night, Valium to get to sleep. And that just repeated itself. It just repeated itself and went on for, like I say, best part of 2 years since I'd got out. Still couldn't stop. Until one day, my ex-brother-in-law, who I love, you know, I'm good pals with him, real close to him, like a brother to us. I hadn't seen him for a few months. Comes into McKenna, I've been on this big bender. A lad come up from down country who I met in jail, bought this big party bag. We'd done it all in like 3 days, you know, and I'm left just like a crustacean of a man of shadow again, you know, in a proper state, you know what I mean? Real bad, real bad. And that day I was feeling sorry for himself. The brother-in-law come in and he was just like me. But he looked different, he sounded different, he had this different energy, his skin looked clear, he's hopping about my house, buzzing and that. He says, I know what you need. You need what I've got. You need to come down to Narcotics Anonymous. This is for you, Danny. You know what I mean? You'll love it, you need it and that. And I'm like, mate, fuck off. You know what I mean? Look at the state of us, mate, you know what I mean? I haven't slept in 3 days. He said, go to bed tonight, there's a meeting tomorrow. So I went to bed. He said, I'll come for you. So come for you at 7, about 7:05. I thought, I just forgot. I just forgot. No, I come, picked us up. Took us down to the rooms. And I walked in there. And there was so many people, what I knew from town, that I hadn't seen for years. So many people that had got clean through this program that I had no knowledge of. Old faces from years gone by, you know, looking really well. Looking like supreme, mate. Looking belter they were, all these faces. But there's obviously people at the start of recovery and that in his way and their own journey, you know, but I remember some of the people that I once knew to be in bad states were looking really well. And Aaron was like, look, these can do it, look at him, remember him? You remember him, don't you? I was like, yeah. He's like, look at him now. He's like, that's in here. And I was drawn to it. I really liked it. I got a lot out of my first meeting.
Did you speak at your first meeting?
No, I didn't speak at my first meeting, I just listened. And
so people understand this is like Narcotics Anonymous, where there's a large group of people come round, someone who's been through the process stands and gives you their explanation of where they're at in their life, tells you their real lows, their real deep lows, remind you of how bad life is. Yeah, and they make it clear on no uncertain terms that this program works, you know, that the program works, you know, the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous, and there's other fellowships as well which do the 12 steps, but you know, I really found that NA was for me, and first time ever, mate, I went 59 days clean. From that day? From that day, I went 59 days clean. Did you go to meetings daily? Yeah. You went daily? I've done online meetings, I went to meetings daily. Okay.
You know, and they recommend you do 90 meetings in 90 days. Well, I never quite got that, but I've done pretty okay. So I'm 50, 56, 58, whatever days in, you know, trying my best to live this program. This comes back in, you know, took my eye off the ball a little bit, got a bit complacent with what I was doing, and deserved a treat, didn't I? You know, it's my head, that's how I was thinking.
Justification again.
59 days, Danny, you know. So go and have one, because you know now you can do 59 days. So, and all that bollocks. So I had a big one, and they say something, you know, in the rooms that using will never be the same, and it won't. Even though using for me was shit for so long, especially in the last 2 years of me using. See, the lines are blurred for me. I can't remember when it stopped making me feel good. I used to love taking drugs, me. That feeling that I used to get, whatever it was, that synopsis or euphoria that I used to get. I can't remember when that went. I just cannot remember. All I can remember is for a long time it was shit. And once you've had a taste of recovery and you relapse, then you'll know how shit drugs can make you feel, because you know you've got
rock bottom, and then because you've already relapsed, you're thinking I might as well just totally relapse.
That's it. Well, you get that fuck it switch, because you know really you've got to go back to the rooms. You know recovery works. You know this. You are going to go back, so you've got to fess up. You've got to man up. You've got to get back to the program. But I'm not finished yet. Do you know what I mean? Is what you tell yourself. Let's just keep fucking going until this self-destructive fucking happens. And that's it, that fuck it switch come in, you know. Instead of like when we're addicts, you know, you get so much drugs. Oh, well, that can last me till tomorrow morning, and that. I would just take loads and loads and loads when I was relapsing. And using will never be the same. So I went back and I'd done 30 days again, and I relapsed shortly after 30 days. And I was losing my way with recovery a bit after my second relapse. I'd done another 30 days, which is always the hardest, for me anyway, 30 days, because I don't know how it is for anybody else, but I know it is for me, you know. And my biology, my neurochemistry, what, you know, whatever you like, my physicality, my mentality, when I have something in my system, mate, no matter what it is, if it's in my blood, my fucking disease, my addiction is just screaming, feed me. You know what I mean? Cravings are unbelievable. For 30 days. That 30 days is hard, man. And I've done that fucking 4 times now. 30 days. You know, and I don't want to ever do it again. Last session I went on, my mate's funeral. Fucking great lad. Jason. Died on a motorbike. He was a boyo, you know what I mean? Loved him. I think I'd had about 40 days clean or something. Went down to the funeral. All the old faces were there. I just went to the service. And I remember this feeling I got at that funeral, because it was like no other funeral I've ever been to. It was like a football match in that church. I remember his sister was trying to speak, and God love her, she broke down. She couldn't quite finish this eulogy she was reading. And I remember a lad just stood up, he was like, fucking go on, Stacey, mate. The church just exploded. It was an emotional day, you know, but I've never seen a funeral like that before. That you could feel the love in the church, what we had for him, you know what I mean? The place went bananas, mental, you know what I mean? It went mental, the church. And it calmed down a bit and she finished what she was reading. Mint, it was mint, mate. You know, what a send-off. And I went down with all the lads, a mistake on my part, you know. I went down with all the lads to the club afterwards, and I said, I'll just come for a coke, and I could see a few faces. It didn't take long. Someone put a pint in front of you. I was aware. You know, and I know that now, if that stuff touches my lips, I'm gone. I don't use like other people, you know, and obviously other people use like me, but there's so many people out there that can manage the using, and I get a certain envy with them people, You know, I look at some people having a little couple of cans.
Same the other day.
Yeah, ha 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 ha. You know.
Having a quiet beer.
Yeah, and I'm like, you bastards. I would love to be one of them types. But as soon as it touches my lips, you know, I may as well just give everything I've got. And I mean everything, any levels of spirituality, anything I've got, any material, shiny things, everything.
Morality.
I may as well just give it to someone else. Say, there you go, you can have that, mate. Because I'm fucking losing it all anyway, you know. So I went on a 4-day bender after that funeral.
How long ago was this?
This was the 10th of March, the 10th of April last year.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty sure. 14 months ago anyway, just over. And that was the last time, and I decided after that, left in a hole again, you know, and what drinking and drugs and staying awake for 3 or 4 days does to us. Left back in that place again.
Was you fighting at this point? At this point of your addiction, your chaotic life,
No.
you're in jail, you're out of jail?
No.
There was no fighting?
There's no fighting. I'd done unlicensed boxing years before that.
Okay.
You know, and I'd done amateur boxing years before that.
Okay.
But, you know, and after that one, I just decided, you know, to give everything to the programme. And I decided to do it like I'd never done it before. Do all the suggested things, stay connected, do step work, get a sponsor, you know, go to any lengths really to stay clean.
Yeah.
You know, at one point I would go to any lengths to get drugs. You know, I wanted to flip that on its head and go to any lengths. And I got a sponsor. Sponsor told me, you know, by this time I wanted it more than ever. You know, I've wanted it before, wanted things before, but I didn't want it like this. You know what I mean? This time I really wanted it. My life depended on it. You know, I felt like I was gonna die. I was gonna end up killing myself, or not suicide, but drug-induced killing myself.
Yeah.
You know, by the way I'd gone on, the way I carried on, the amounts I was taking. So I done what was suggested. I changed everything. They say change one thing and that's everything, so that's what I done. I systematically went about changing everything. I changed all my friends, all this group of boys who I grew up with, this amazing group of lads, brothers, who I love, but I had to let them go. You know, I had to move. I moved house. I changed job. Started palling on with people in recovery, and you know, I'm very pleased to say I'm 14 months clean. You know, it feels good.
And that must seem like, or how has your life changed? Because no people say your life will change for the better than you can even believe.
Mate, you know, you hear it all the time, you know, but they say recovery will give you the life beyond your wildest dreams.
That's the word, yeah.
Well, at the start, I didn't know what that meant. I'm thinking yachts, supermodels. You know, I'm like, are they all going to pull $1,000 out or something? Give me $1,000 each or whatever, you know. And even when the first meetings, I was that confused by it. These people that I'd seen in the meetings that I knew for years, that I hadn't seen for years, I'm like, I wonder what sort of wages they're giving him to say all this. You know what I mean? That's where I was with it.
Thinking it was a scam.
Yeah, but once I put both feet in, and once I give it everything, bit by bit, slowly, little by little over time, you know, things started to align, things started coming to my life. You know, when you're not spending £500,000 a week on getting high, you start realising some of this, you can actually accumulate a few quid, and that makes things easier. Relationships with my kids just better than ever. You know, and I was always present with my kids, but often in body and not in mind. You know, there was times when I just felt like they were getting in the way of my using. You know, unfortunately, that's just how it was. But you know, things got better than ever and continue to get better. You know, and I've had some ups and downs in recovery, and it's not easy. It's not easy at all. It's not easy, like, but because you're left with this, mate. You know what I mean? This thing that's run the show for so long, this thing that thinks it knows better, it thinks it's above the programme, you know, it thinks it's still wants to break people's noses and stuff, and still always got that bit of violence in us, you know, that flashing, not so much a passion for hurting people, but sometimes a desire to hurt some people, you know, and even though I've let go so much, forgave a lot of people who've wronged me, you know, I've still got resentments. Still got plenty of resentments there, you know, and I'm working on them.
Because they say, because as I said, the resentments are affecting you, not them.
Yeah, 100%. You know.
You're hating on him.
Yeah.
You're carrying that hate.
That's it.
It's burning your day.
Exactly, mate. And it's all energy that you're spending, and it's tying you back. It's holding
you back. I've got a few resentments going on. A long list.
But yeah, the before recovery, I'd got out of prison. The back end of me using, you know, I know we're going back and forward a little bit here, but it's just how my head works.
Yeah.
I'd been out of prison 20 months, and I got called out by this fella who had a restraining order on us, who'd put statements in, and I dare say got me sent to jail. You know, I had a massive part in that, you know, but he's got a victim.
He's got a restraining order out against you, and he calls you out for a fight.
Yeah, 20 months after I've got out of prison.
Okay.
So
this is the one I've seen.
Yeah.
Do you have it in Manchester?
Yes.
With what's his name? Traveller boy.
Dougie Joyce.
Dougie Joyce.
Yeah.
Well respected lad.
Yeah, listen, I get on with Dougie, but that's how that come about. I hadn't mentioned this lad and wouldn't mention this lad because of the restraining order. I was just trying to I was lost. I was still lost. Trying my best to get clean, which I couldn't do at that point. So I got called out, you know, and I still wanted to really put my hands on this lad, you know what I mean? In fact, there's nobody ever that I've ever come across that I've ever wanted to put my hands on so much as that person, you know what I mean? And the day came, they calling us out on all these videos. I started making videos back, I couldn't help myself. I was like, I'll see you, you know, I'll see you. I had a feeling he didn't think I was going to accept it for whatever reason. Maybe because he had the backing of these lads, maybe because he blew up to about 18 stone, maybe a few things I had a feeling he wasn't going to accept, he thought I wasn't going to accept, but I accepted anyway. And he said, you know, he kept my fair play man, Paul Venice, you know, who was a massive part of my story, and I'll get onto that. I rung him up and asked him if he'd be my fair play man, you know, because I knew he was well respected and I knew he knew Dougie, and so will you take me down to fight this lad, you know, in 6 days. I think they come on the Saturday, the call out, and I think we're fighting on the Friday.
And do you think he'd been training?
The other lad?
Yeah, do you think he'd been getting ready?
I'm not sure how physically fit he was, you know. Okay. I mean, he certainly could have been fitter, but it was just that much of a lump. Okay. You know, I'd definitely been doing the weights and that for sure, you know. But I accepted. So this lad who, you know, wanted to fight us is in touch with Paul now. And he was ringing Paul all week saying, tell Danny if he just makes a public apology, you know, he doesn't have to fight me next week. And I was like, you know, mate, I said, Paul, ring him back up and tell him to go and fuck his mother. You know, that's just how I was with it, you know, and I apologise if I've offended anybody, but that's what I said. And he'd ring up again the next day. You know, he's still going on about this apology, you know. And in there, in my head, I thought...
He don't want it.
That's what I thought. Yeah. I thought, I've got the edge here. You know, I thought, if somebody really wants to put hands on me the way I want to put hands on them, they won't be making this phone call. So I said, Paul, you said that yesterday.
Giving a way out.
You know, I said, tell him to fuck off. Paul come pick me up for there, and Paul was in recovery. Paul was massive in NA at that point, loved it. You know, and he... Paul the Christian, you know. I'm not a Christian, me, you know, but I've always been drawn to the cross. I don't know what it is. I'm not a Christian, I don't practice Christian. I do read the Bible on occasion. Something about that cross I've always liked. And maybe the day will come. You know, I get signs all the time, and I don't know if I misinterpret them or what, but I get signs all the time, me, you know, all the time, mate. You know, I get sign upon sign, and I don't know if I'm misinterpreting them or I don't know what, but I feel like I'm waiting, me. I feel like I'm waiting. I feel like I haven't decided what I want to do, what I'm not ashamed to say I just don't believe, you know. I don't believe. The day might come where I might believe that Jesus died for me.
But you believe in a higher power.
I know there's a higher power, mate.
So
without uncertainty, I know there is. You know what I mean?
It's understanding what the higher power is.
Yeah, it's my God hasn't got a face,
no.
You know. I just know there's a power at work all the time. It's greater than myself. Paul's explaining all this stuff to me, and
they take the word God out of it for some people to struggle with that.
Yeah, some people hear the word God and they get scared, you know.
Yeah.
And I understand that. But that cross for me has always been something. There's always something there. That's why I bear it on my channel, because, you know, for me it's a symbol of good, obviously, ultimate good, but also a symbol of immense suffering, you know, and which I think that with that duality, you know, I think anybody and everybody can have some relation to that. Me and Paul talks at length on the way down, and I forgot I was going to a fight. You know, I just met this big lad who I'd admired for years, and talking all the way down, and we got about 10 minutes off on the sat nav, and he's like, right, you're fighting in 10 minutes. I was like, oh shit. So I wrapped my hands up, and we purposely took our time getting down there, because I know myself.
What it's like when you're standing waiting.
He's in the gym waiting, he's making videos, I'm here. I'm like, you're there? Fucking 4 hours away. You know what I mean? You'll be there a while, mate. And I knew that what that does to people's adrenaline levels and that. And so look, I went down, the fight was what it was. Everyone's seen it, you know, and I was, but I do remember just before we got out the car, I got a phone call off the ex-wife.
How long was the fight?
How long did it go on for?
Yeah.
I think we were swapping shots for about 9 minutes.
Yeah.
Ish.
And what was it, declared a draw?
It declared a draw, yeah, which I think was fair.
Yeah.
You know, I think was fair. Okay. But I remember getting out the car, my hands were wrapped, and I left the phone in the car. Just as I was getting out of the car, it rang. And it was the ex-wife. She said, you know, this is going live on Dougie's Instagram in a minute. I knew it was getting videoed, but I thought it'd been getting uploaded, you know, a bit later on or something. She said, it's going live on Dougie's Instagram in a minute. And that was it. I was like, right. And she's like, me and all the girls have got it on the big screen. So I was like, sound, you know what I mean?
When you said all the girls, you mean your daughters?
My kids, yeah.
You're done, mate. Jesus.
So I was like, right. And I just thought, yeah, that's it. You know, no one's going to make a mug out of me today. I thought I know they're watching. You know, I'm gonna do all right. I'm gonna give a good account of myself here. You know, I'd like to think that's what I've done. You know, I'd like to think I'd give a good account of myself, considering.
What did you weigh at that time?
About 13 stone.
And he weighed what?
18.
It's a big difference when it comes to fighting.
Yeah, I suppose it is, but you know, I suppose in a straightener, you know, you don't really think how much someone else weighs. I was aware he was bigger, but I know I can crack. You know, I've always been able to crack. You know, and I think once we got into gear, I think we would hit about the same. You know, he could definitely crack. I'm not sure how powerful he is for an 18 stone heavyweight, but I know I can crack, and he can hit about as hard as me. So he's got power, you know, no two ways about it. And the fight was over, declared a draw. We come home, you know, and I suppose that was that.
Did you feel like you released then of all that anger, all that emotion and frustration from the year of losing
definitely.
your granddad, blaming him?
Yeah, I felt like a winner. You know, I felt like a winner, and a little bit of smugness, I suppose, knowing that I was going home to party and he was going to hospital.
Okay.
You know, and getting his face stitched back together, and I was fine. Me, a couple of cuts and bruises. You know, I didn't need any stitches or out. And I mean, I felt like a winner, and I know it was a draw, but I felt like a winner. I felt like I'd set out to do what I knew I could do, and that was it. A couple of months after that, I got into recovery.
Did you get done for that fight?
Yeah, I got back at court for breach of a restraining order.
So he has a restraining order against you. He challenges you to a fight. You turn up to fight him. He's a willing participant in the fight, and you get done for a breach of restraining order.
Yeah.
Did he want to get you done for the breach of restraining order, or not?
Well,
does it matter?
He said on the run up to the fight, he said, "Look, I'll turn up at court and say that I wanted it."
Okay.
Well, you know.
But did he?
Shock. You know, he was never there.
Okay, so you got took to court and penalised.
Yeah. And I got a year in prison, suspended for 2 years, which is still sort of.
You still got that suspension over your head now.
Yeah. But listen, that was what it was. A couple of months after that, I got into recovery. In and out of relapses, like I'd said. I was after my last relapse, what I'd mentioned, my pal's funeral. Gets a phone call, the representative from the BKFC. You know, they said, fancy a multi-fight deal. And I thought someone was taking the piss. You know what I mean? I'm like, who is this? You know what I mean? Thinking it's one of my old pals or something. They were like, no, I've been serious. We want to send you some details.
And this is from them watching you fight?
Yeah.
Decca?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was like, yeah, once I knew they were serious, and I thought, yeah, I think I'll have some of that. And I was 37 at the time, and the window's closing, mate. The window's been closing for a while, physically. It's not closed, but it's definitely closing. Just in a lot of pain, mate, physically, a lot of injuries, and stuff catches up with us, and father time, body just not what it used to be. But I thought, something, I'm going to do this, because if I don't, I maybe regret it. Maybe get to 40 and think shoulda, coulda, woulda. So I went for it. Got in the gym, I got in shape. Got my old coach back, who I love to bits, Wayne Mason. Love that man. Like a brother to us. And I said to him, if you can't coach me for this journey, Wayne, I'm not going to be able to do it. I don't want anyone else in my corner apart from you, so let me know if you can't make the time. I'm going to knock it on the head. He said, no, let's go for it. You can do it. So we went for it, and we've done all right. We've had 3 wins, 3 knockouts. After my second win, I asked for the best available opponent in this country. I said I wanted the best lad, and because of my age, mate, you know what I mean? If I was 25, I'd maybe have warmed up a little bit and knocked this one over and that one over and try and build some record or something, but I just wanted to prove to myself that I could mix it with the best lads in the UK. So there's a kid there who had this BKFC title.
And his name?
Anthony Holmes.
And he looked the part, bruv. Because when I saw you, I was watching it, I was thinking, oh mate, he looked a beast.
Yeah, he's a muscular lad. And he's good, very good at what he does, good fundamentals and that. And the fights that I've seen him in, some of the kids he's beat some lads who I watched for years. When I was using these lads like Lurwell and Barrett and that, I used to watch these lads and think, oh, they're really good lads, and he'd chinned them all, you know what I mean? And I thought, right, so they said, well, you can fight this Anthony Holmes then. So it was like right in at the deep end after 2 fights. So I was like, brilliant, I wanted that, I wanted it bad.
And then you come in, you must have felt the strongest and fittest, because you're clean for the first time in your life.
That's it.
For 14 months.
And I'd had two training camps back to back. It's not like I've been having blowouts and letting any of this fitness go.
You're at peak fitness.
I was walking around on 2 camps, so I was already in shape going into that camp. And they had about 7.5, 8 weeks in the gym for that, when I was already fit. And we got the job done. Scored a knockout, scored a belt and knockout.
Some knockout as well.
Yeah, loved it.
Some knockout.
What a feeling, mate. What a feeling, to lay somebody flat like that in their own backyard. A champion, undefeated kid, beat all the people that I'd looked up to for years. And I'm in there laying him out. And what a buzz, mate. Nothing really comes close to that sort of feeling that you get from winning a fight like that, in that fashion. I've said it before, nothing on earth, no substance on earth can make you feel like that, can replicate or mimic that feeling. Nothing comes close. That, they say, don't they, the best things in life are free. Yeah. Well, that is the best feeling by far I've ever had. Better than anything, better than sex, better than watching your kids get born, It's that release of everything, all the dopamine, all them feel-good hormones, adrenaline, and all the glands just like shoot the bolt, they just get massive amounts of it into the bloodstream, mate, and there's no feeling like it. And I see where that buzz, what I love, I'm not sure how. I'm going to have to find something to replace that, mate, when I finish fighting, because...
Which is what a lot of fighters struggle with. That's a problem that a lot of professional boxers face, and it usually drives them to addiction.
Yeah.
And issues after they come out of boxing, because they're trying to find something to replicate that feeling.
Searching for something to replace it.
Yeah. So you're currently ranked 4th in the world.
Yeah.
You're awaiting a new fight deal. Are you?
I've got a multi-fight deal at home.
You've been offered a multi-fight deal?
You know, and the last fight I was in that with me and Anthony was a world title eliminator. So I've been promised a world title shot. I believe there's some difficulties getting Lorenzo Hunt into this country. I can't get out of this country. You know, I've got 33 convictions and I'll be wasting my time going to the embassy, you know. So it seems to be a bit of a unique problem, you know, the fight that I wanted. And I know Lorenzo Hunt wants that fight as well. I speak to him, you know, and I think that'd be a great fight. I think it'd be the biggest fight that Britain's ever seen.
For a bare knuckle?
Bare knuckle, anyway.
Agree.
And we're just going to have to wait and see. There's a lad out there, David Round, a Welsh lad, tough lad, and I give him my word that I would fight him before I jacked in.
Okay.
So if we can't make the Lorenzo Hunt fight, which would be a shame, you know, since they've not promised me, but contractually, you know, I was obliged to have that fight and maybe to fight David Round. There was talk of me giving Anthony Holmes a rematch, you know, but he think he's on about moving down a weight now. You know, if I'm only having one more fight or 2 more fights, you know, they've got to be good fights that I want.
Any talk of Decca?
Yeah, you know.
I think that may be the biggest.
Listen, it's funny, you know, because when I watch things and I'm sent things and I hear things that this rematch has been talked about for 100,000 quid. Well, someone got in touch with us. There wasn't mention of 100,000. They said that they might be able to get it. You know, we think we could get this money, you know, off these Saudis. This is like a middleman I'm speaking to. So all I said was, look, I'm not being funny, but why don't you just come back to me then when you've got that money? You know, I don't want to talk about anything else, you know what I mean? If that fight's going to happen, my number is 100 bones. You know, I said, so if you can get it, get back in touch with me. If you can't, you know, I won't speak to you. So if that comes, I'll take it. I'll fight anyone for 100 grand, anywhere. But, you know, I don't know how this is going to pan out. You know, the same person that seems to be begging online for this fight, the same person that's got a restraining order out on me for wanting to fight him. You know, it's very confusing and contradicting, but time will tell. I mean, what happens if I have this fight again and I end up back in prison for a breach of a restraining order? I don't know how these things work. I don't know if it's going to be active if we fight abroad.
How long was the restraining order for?
It was for 5 years.
Okay.
And I've got no interest in going near him, bothering him, you know, seeing him in the streets, anything like that, you know. I treat him like I treat anybody else. You know, if they come in the street and make me feel threatened and I feel like they're going to do something, you know, I'll light them up. But until then, you know, I'd rather just be left alone. But it keeps going on about this rematch. And it's like, it's talking like we're in some kind of negotiations, you know, like it's...
I guess your profile now has bombed.
Yeah.
Your profile has bombed.
Yes, mate.
So, he'll be talking his way into it.
We'll just have to see. Look, if somebody comes to me, you know, I sent something the other day and said, like, sign the contract. You know?
He said that?
Yeah, what contract? You know, I mean, how much money do you think I've got? Do you know, do you think I'm going to be looking at a contract for 100,000 quid?
And
not signing it, mate? Come on. If that contract lands, I'll do it. You know, and if it means going to prison for a whatever, year or whatever, I'll go to prison for 100,000 quid. But we'll just have to wait and see. No, nothing's certain, nothing's set in stone. I've had a brief conversation with one middleman about it. That's as far as it's went. You know, we're not in negotiations of any kind. You know, it's been mentioned once. That's it.
Let me ask you this, because about 2 weeks ago I was driving through Spain and I stopped off in Benidorm where I was beaten up. Yeah?
I shouldn't laugh, mate, but
No,
yeah.
you should laugh. I went 9:37, check out the video, yeah? 9:37 in the morning, I wake up, right? And I'm at the side of these stairs and I'm in Benidorm and all I heard was Tommy and I've just been battered from everywhere, right? And as I'm getting punched from everywhere, I'm ducking down, and then I'm running. And I'm getting chased. And as I run up a fire exit chute of some flats. I'm trying to get in the flats. And I run all the way to the top, at which point I must just collapse. Because the next thing I wake up, and this is probably about 2 a.m. Next thing I wake up is 9:37 a.m.
Bruv, I just woke up, man. I know it probably don't look like it. My face is fucked. I got bad last night. I've just fucking, I must have been unconscious here, bruv. Look. I fucking legged up here. Can you see that? Oh, fuck, man. Fucking hell. I've just woke up. I must have been unconscious on the floor here for hours. Oh, you fucking mugs, man.
When I look at the video now, it's ridiculous because my face ain't bad,
Yeah.
But I felt, and I still feel, now.
Yeah, you will.
Look, I'm feeling it everywhere.
Yeah.
I've got my ear, I can't touch my ear. And now that's from nothing, yeah? When I look at your face, after each one of your fights, and then I look at that, and I think I can't lay on this side, I can't sleep on this side of my head, still, from weeks ago. Your face must have been battered or feel bad. And how long does your jaw, your head, how much more will you put your own self through?
It's a good question, you know, because I like that question. I'm not sure, you know, Is it something that's on your, is it something you're thinking about seriously because of the consequence of the beatings? Yeah, I mean, my son loves it. My son's like, that's my dad, you know what I mean? But my eldest daughter and my second youngest, Georgie, you know, she cries when she sees me, you know, after a fight. And that makes me upset, you know, and she... I could imagine, we'll include some pictures of your face here because it's serious. She asks me to stop. Your daughter does? Yeah, she says, I don't want you to do it anymore, Dad. You know, and I try and explain to her and I try and say to her that, look, I need this, you know, I would like to do one more. I said that last time, you know, I would like to do one more. I want this title, you know, this British title. So now I've got that, there's this world title. You know, so I've talked around with that. And listen, I need to know from my own point when to walk away, because no matter what, if you keep winning, there will always be another challenge. You're not punch drunk. You don't seem, you're very, because some people are. Yeah. You seem very... Well, I'm new to this, taking this type of punishment, mate, you know. You've took it a few times. That might come in years to come, maybe, you know, and I need to be able to get out of this with all my faculties and that, mate. I need to be able to string a conversation together and more so watch my kids grow up and be an active part in their life. You know, I need to provide and protect for them. Protect and provide, you know, it's somewhat, my kids are the biggest thing in my life by far. And with them telling me to stop, you know, it's hard to keep going. But I don't want to get myself in this position for a world title and not go for it. You know, I could regret that when my body won't do what it can do now in a couple of years. You know, how would I feel about that, staring at a world title and not taking it? And now there's talk of the world title might not happen, so I maybe just take one more payday, one more fight. Listen, mate, I'm towards the end. I'm nearly finished, and like you say, mate, the pain. It must be excruciating. The pain that you're in at following a fight. I mean, that last fight I was in a bit of pain. I had some lumps and bumps. I had a nasty cut, which was to the bone. That's what I love about the BKFC, you know, they'll let you continue. It's, you know, it's blood, sweat and tears. You said to the judge before, you said, I bleed. The referee, yeah. The referee. I make a point of saying that to them. I bleed. Especially after my first fight with Terry Brazier. That was the most physical fight I've been in. You know, 2-time MMA world champion, you know, Bellator veteran. And he gave me the hardest fight today, so my debut. Very physical affair. Strong lad. They clinched, all that clinch work and that, and he smashed us to bits. My head was like a box of oranges. You know, the lumps and bumps that I had on my head for the weeks after that. I could, like you say, that laying, you know, couldn't lay certain ways, couldn't do anything, couldn't hold. And still like that. Mate, I couldn't hold a spoon. My hands were that smashed as well. You know what I mean? Like. Yeah. Yeah. Look at your hand there. Yeah. And that's permanently just that now. Yeah. And this is what I mean, you know, we only get one body. I don't know how much more I want to put myself through, but like I've said to you before, mate, there's no buzz like it. Even before you've knocked someone out, that's a feeling in itself by itself, but that, just the danger. You know, when you're in a fight and you're taking chances, you're rolling the dice, you're going for punches and missing, you're getting caught, and nothing makes you feel more alive than being in that moment, you know. I don't know if it's the warrior in us, or I love it. You know, I love that feeling of rolling the dice with powerful men. As
you're talking about it, you're talking about masculinity, being men.
Yeah.
What do you think of the current state of affairs of masculinity and men?
I think it's a state,
in the
mate.
UK, in the world.
I think it's a state, mate. Look at the state of it. Just look at the state of it. You know, you got people men who won't stand up for what's right because they've been told it's wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're being, for lack of a better word, demonized. You know, masculine men. It's like there's something wrong with it now, isn't it? It's like
they want effeminate.
It's like you shouldn't. It's like you shouldn't be it.
Yeah, toxic. Yeah.
It's like, you know,
because they don't want strong men.
Yeah, you can see why. You know what I mean, with the way the world's going, and you know, just bit by bit, little by little, taking it away, and testosterone levels at an all-time low. It's not a coincidence, mate. No. You know, it's bad.
What advice would you give any young lads watching this? Young men, young kids, young youth who look up to you?
Lift weights, train, stay fit, do boxing, do jiu-jitsu, respect your elders, you know, have a goal, you know, and I think combat sports should be almost mandatory for kids, you know, especially in the world we live in. But you know, if you don't want to compete, if you don't want to go any further with it, that's fine. But you know, you've had 2 years of it now, and that'll serve you well. You know, believe me, that will serve you well. But I think everybody's got something that they're good at. Everyone's talented at something. Everyone's good at something. Everyone's got a passion for something. You know, find out what that is. There's no take a chance. Take a chance. You want to learn how to. You know, what I always wanted to do is play an instrument. Always wanted to play the guitar.
Did you?
I play a wicked air guitar.
Yeah.
But
you're going to learn to play guitar then?
Probably not. Not. I might do one day. Maybe give it a chance. But you know, just all these things, so many things that everybody can do. Everybody's good at something. Take a chance. If you don't like it, try something else. What you got to lose, man? What you got to lose? Because, like I've said earlier on, I wanted to be nothing, and that's more or less what I ended up until I got my shit together. You know, you don't need to wait till you're in your mid-30s to get your shit together, mate. You can do it in your early 20s. You know what I mean?
What do you think, if your granddad could say something to you now if he was watching, what do you think he'd say? You're 40 months clean.
Yeah.
You're British champion.
Yeah, I think he'd be proud of us. But I can hear him already. My mum tells me what he'd be saying, you know, get out.
Get out?
Yeah, get out, mate. Be saying get out. Get out, quit while you're ahead. All them cliches that he's told us all my life, I can hear him saying them all, you know. Bird in the hand's worth two in the bush. Get out while you're ahead. All that stuff, I can hear him saying it, mate.
So that must be a battle as well.
Yeah. Probably a bit of pride and that in there, you know, I want to keep going. I want to fight the best of the best, but listen, I think it's getting towards that time, mate. I'm going to have to make a decision of what I'm going to do, and I'm going to have to stick by it, you know, because once I decide what I'm doing, I will do that. Whether it's have one more fight or whether it's quit, I'm not sure. I had a little bit of an ego problem lately, mate. Things going to my head. Like I said, I spoke about it the other day on my channel. Stuff going to my head, mate. I was so good at it for so long, you know, not letting things go to my head, staying grounded, staying humble.
It's hard to when you've just blown up the way you've blown up, Doc.
That's it, you know, yeah, people ask you, I mean, you've seen it, you get it a lot. I've been with you, I've seen it with you, you know, you've seen it with me yesterday, people asking for pictures. Yeah. It's like everybody wanting a piece of you.
Yeah, it's hard not to.
It goes to your head a bit, and it's done that lately. You know, I've been a bit of a cock with
everyone
a few people.
Everyone telling you shit don't stink, surrounded by yes men.
That type of thing.
Been there many times.
But I'm aware of it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm aware of it, which is a good thing, but that's not enough. You know, I need to get back to the programme. I need to do more work on myself, continuation of work, you know, progress, not perfection. And I need to get back to the programme. I need to practice what I preach, you know, because I'm the best person in the world at giving advice. Because I know what works.
Yeah.
But I struggle doing it, mate.
We're all human, man.
Yeah.
Well, Danny, it's been a very emotional story as
yes,
well,
bro.
It's been enjoyable, man. And you can wear your heart on your sleeve. It's It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Tommy. Appreciate that.
I look forward to watching your journey, bro.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Tommy.
Cheers, man.
Nice one.